Well, ICE Chief Thomas Homan testified on Capitol Hill recently. Democratic Congresswoman Nanette Berrigan of California decided she couldn't waste the opportunity, so she began berating him for the crime of doing what he is paid to do. According to the Congresswoman, ICE's enforcement of national laws is immoral. Watch this.
We love to talk about this issue about the MS-13 gangs. We love to paint immigrants as criminals. That is not the complete facts. And that is very offensive for me to see continuing to happen, is continuing to message this anti-immigrant agenda.
First of all, no one on this panel is anti-immigrant. We're law enforcement officers who enforce the law that you all enacted. So to sit there and say that we're anti-immigrant is just wrong.
Well, we invited that non-genius member of Congress to come on the show and explain the reasoning behind her statement, but of course she declined. Instead, we're joined by New York attorney and illegal immigrant Cesar Vargas. Cesar, thanks for coming on.
Tucker, thank you so much for having me again.
I don't know why I find this has been the most amusing thing I think I've ever seen. So here's I guess she's a member of Congress, going head-to-head with the director of ICE and claiming that it is wrong for him to do what he is paid to do. What does she think ICE does?
Well, any law enforcement agency, their job is to keep us safe, correct? Their job is to ensure that community trusts law enforcement, to ensure everyone is safe, regardless of their immigration status.
No, it's to enforce the laws.
No,
yeah.
well, exactly, right? Why do we enforce the law? To keep us safe. Now, ICE is tripling the amount of people arrested without violent criminal records. So the congressman is right on that point, where not only is ICE going after the rapists, the murderers, they're going after grandma, they're going after
so does the law,
labor.
no, wait, hold on, you're the attorney. I've got a question for you. So the law says that ICE can only arrest people with certain kinds of criminal records or commit certain kinds of crimes? Is that what the federal law says?
Federal law says that Immigration Customs Enforcement has to detain people who violently violate laws in like murder, like anything like that. But the law says that ICE and any law enforcement agency has the discretion to pursue the most violent criminals. So ICE is going after the grannies instead of the murderers. ICE is going after the day laborers instead of the rapists. So ICE is not doing their job when they are just focusing on everyone instead of using our resources on keeping us
for
safe.
example, hold on, you're here illegally, correct?
No. Like I had DACA, and now I'm in the process of changing my immigration status.
Okay.
So no.
Okay.
So we have to understand.
Okay.
I'm an attorney. You're not, and your viewers are not. So I need to explain the law clearly to every single person.
You may be an attorney, but you're misstating a fact, which is that people who are here illegally are by definition violating federal law. And so ICE absolutely has a right, in fact, it's its charter to enforce federal law, so it has a right to detain them, and the United States government and its citizens have a right to deport them. Whether they choose to or not is another question. But you can't attack somebody for enforcing the law as written. By the way, as written by the Congress in which that member of Congress sits. So I don't know if they taught you this part in law school, but what she said is insane.
No, I think it's very clearly. Look, listen, ICE has a job to do. No question about it. The Congress has their job to do. And you're right, they haven't got their job done in years. They haven't passed immigration reform. They haven't passed proper
education. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying.
But I think it comes to the point of where we are at this moment, that we need to keep this nation safe. And ICE should go after people who violently threaten our security.
I don't know why I'm taking a lecture on ICE law from someone who broke our laws to come here. But hold on. If you think that that's true, then you're obviously not bothered by the president's emphasis on rounding up known members of a murderous street gang. But I bet you are bothered by that, right? Are you one of the people who, are you one of the animal rights activists who wept when he used the word animal to describe MS-13?
Well, listen, I think we should keep our nation safe, and law enforcement has their job to do, whether it's the NYPD, the LAPD, or ICE. They have a job to do. Now, the president is confusing two things, like many things. MS-13 is the product of the U.S. We created MS-13.
Oh, it's
just as we created the KKK.
Why does it always come down? You know, this is actually the one thing that does irritate me, so I want to cut this part of the conversation short because I don't want to get mad at you. But blaming the United States for fentanyl ODs, for MS-13, for the waves of people coming to this country illegally, in your description, it's always our fault.
No,
we deserve this.
It's the fact. Very different thing.
You said
fact.
Don't have a lecture.
It's a
okay,
fact.
but hold on. Wait.
We created in the 1980s when You just look it up.
I don't have any patience for this, so I'm not going to let you continue because you don't know what you're talking about. I don't want to mislead my viewers. But let me just ask you really quickly, if you think the job of ICE is to protect American citizens and they ought to go after violent criminals, then why wouldn't you be encouraging them to round up every MS-13 member in this country illegally and deport them tomorrow? But I bet you're not for that. I bet you're defending MS-13 like everybody else on your side, right?
No, I think if MS-13 or any gang member violently commits a crime, kills someone, they should spend the rest of their life in prison. That's what the law says, right?
Someone's a member,
I agree with you and many of your viewers.
If you believe someone's a member of MS-13 and he's here illegally, you don't think that's enough to deport him?
Well, why are we going to really exacerbate a problem?
Okay, so I just want to reveal to my viewers where you're
actually come over there and make people come back. You know, it's the logic that we need to see. We can't exacerbate a problem by sending people who we created.
It's America's fault. Yeah, we created it. What do you mean we? You're not even a citizen. Anyway, Caesar, thank you.
Thank you.
You didn't, frankly, have the balls to put country before party.